Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're checking out a video by Vulcan. It's the mid lane tier list video. I thought I'd do a reaction to it so we can see what gods we should be prioritizing and ones we shouldn't be. So I really hope you enjoy this one. Smash a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, so here we go guys. What should we be playing?
What is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? We're back at it. We have a mid lane tier list. There's been a lot going on in Smite. Put out a big patch. They added Vulcan, who's awesome, by the way.
He is awesome.
Added some Hunter.
We tried Vulcan out. He is pretty awesome. We like his kit.
The Hunter characters beat everything right now. I have updated Smite source with the build, so it's there. I also updated.
What are Hunter characters or Hunter gods? What are Hunter gods? I don't know who they are.
Yes, boys and girls.
All right, let's get into this. Let's go.
Pulled all of the characters I think you should potentially think about playing mid currently, right? They're already here. You know, it goes all the way over to under my camera. You can't see
that list looks bigger than the one that is given to you, like recommendations based on the lane you should be playing. So I'm assuming the god pool is bigger than what that recommends you to play. This would be quite valuable to our journey.
See those mid lane tier list. Super simple. Right now, there are not that many very high tier mid mages. All right.
Really?
So let's just start talking about it. Agni is probably your third best mage right now, just purely from the mage standpoint. Yeah. Hunter's not included, right? So if we're just looking at mages in the mid lane,
I could see that.
Your third best. Agni's problem is his early game is not good. His mid game is very average. You can, you know, I get comments every day like, is Agni's nerfed? Is he bad? Is this and that? I don't do damage. Basically, you spike when you have 5 to 6 items, which is, you know, 20.
Yeah, that's an issue.
30 minutes, depending on how your game's going. But
not every game lasts that long, right? If the teams aren't balanced, then there's always one god that seems to just run away with the game, and then actually people just give up and it ends up being a surrender fest. If any of you watch the videos in my series, which will be linked in the description, obviously we don't surrender, but we're going through the new player experience of Smite 2, focusing on things, different gods, the mechanics of every lane to sort of figure out what lane we want to play moving forward. So I thought we'd check out the mid lane tier list purely because I think mid lane is where we want to play. Jungle was a lot of fun. We might have to check out a jungle tier list too, but that'll be in a later video. Yeah, but anyway, let's get back to this one.
At that point, he does do more than a lot of the other mages. He also has a ton of control, which is very valuable. So while his mid game is weaker damage-wise, having that control, if you're playing in a team setting, can be very valuable. That's why he maintains that A tier slot.
Okay.
Aladdin. Oddly enough, I'd probably put Aladdin right now in that A tier.
Aladdin in the mid lane.
If your jungle is not playing him, play him mid. If your jungle wants to play him, let the jungle play him. He will do better in jungle.
Yeah.
He'll have more pressure, more control. But in the mid lane, he can safely clear with his one. He can rotate and be part of fights. He basically plays a second jungler. Your jungle clear is quick still, so you're able to just counter farm if you decide to. Aladdin just needs more nerfs, at least until Wheelix is put in the game.
I'm pretty sure he's been nerfed recently, right? Let me know in the comments box below.
He has been, you know, they told us she's coming out eventually here in the next like 2 months. That will counter Aladdin. That will change things. But we're 2 months out, right? Honor's kind of weak. I wouldn't say he's a bad mid hunter. I would say you're really playing it when you're forced into that role. You have too much magic on your team. Your ADC didn't play a hunter.
We haven't checked him out yet.
Bans. He's way down there. Play with his passive, or sorry, his aspect if you do decide to play him, but probably don't play him in the first place. Anubis. I think Anubis is terrible.
Really?
I think there's nothing good about Anubis right now.
Anubis feels really strong when played in the mid lane. Or any game that I've played, when there is a Anubis in the game, he seems to be absolutely dominating. But he's quite an easy god to learn for a new player. I found him quite easy to play. However, is that just because I'm playing in games as a new player against new players that exploit it, or do actually or am I playing against good players that know how to play Anubis properly, and that's why I always get pooed on? But okay, I didn't think he'd be so low on this list, to be perfectly honest with you.
Anubis can't shred tanks the same way he did in Smite 1. He can't do as much damage as he did in Smite 1. He is not as scary as he was in Smite 1. And in Smite 1,
I'm scared
10 years
of him.
Get played. He finally started to get played at the end, right before Smite 2 came out, but too little too late, right? So, with Anubis, your 1, 2, 3 clear is great because you full clear the wave with your 1.
Yeah.
The second you start being pressured, you know, the jungler starts diving you, the supports show up, the soulback plucks you, you start dying on cooldown, and it's just not a fun time. So I would not recommend playing Anubis outside of for fun. He's not good. Aphrodite, very mid tier. I'd rather have Afro support or maybe even like solo.
Yeah, she's an insane support.
You do decent damage with Afro mid, but you still die quickly. And with anti-heal being so good and easily attainable, you end up having to build into Rod of Asclepius, which removes anti-heal for 3 seconds, and you become kind of like, you want to heal, but you also need to do the damage. It's definitely not a bad mage by any means. You will have some bad matchups. You'll get poked out a lot by gods like Vulcan and Agni, maybe even Akate, which are oddly enough the top 3 mages. But you can get away with it. You just got to get the late game linked to a carry, linked to your hunter, and you'll probably win the game because you just babysit your hunter. Any jungler dives on you, you kiss him, you kill him, right? Definitely not a bad pick. It's just another god that plays for heavy late game and really has little early mid game control. Baron, I feel like he's kind of a sleeper mid. He doesn't get played much right now. His damage is there. His control is there.
Yeah, we've played Baron. We quite like playing him. He's got his kit's pretty decent. He has good clear. His ult is basically almost an execute, right? Once an enemy is at a lower health. But please correct me if I'm wrong. B tier, it's not terrible.
He's a little bit safer than some of these other mages because of his ult, basically allowing him to get take less damage and get out of jail free. Get the movement from the 2. You have self peel with your 3. He's solid. He's just not great. His damage isn't insane. He is still a riskier pick. He doesn't have high mobility. Once you get into team fights, he's going to be dove. You got to have a good early mid game, which he can do. You just got to play him right and try not to die. CERN. I'd probably put CERN down here in the C tier. No aspect CERN, by the way.
We haven't checked him out yet.
You're going to struggle. Your clear is not that great. The thing is, with the new Hunter starter item, both Anher and CERN are probably B tier with the starter item and with crit being so strong. You could run it in mid every game. So, like I said, I'm going to mention where they are in reality versus current state of crit.
Okay.
Both of these would probably be above these 2 gods in a B tier, almost A tier, because crits just literally, if it's not one of the top 3 mages or Aladdin, I'd probably play a hunter in mid every game if I'm just trying to win, like literally every game.
Is that how powerful crit is right now? Is crit that powerful that hunters are just dominating the game?
Chalk did really well at Lamb. Mainly because of his engage. He literally went full strength build and just
we haven't tried him out yet either.
Right. Your issue with that in ranked play is it's much harder to get these 3 and 4 man ultimates on Chalk because people do not play super grouped and as a team as often in mid to lower ranked. So that value for Chalk does drop. In a higher level ranked, I'd probably say A tier. Anything below that, I'd probably say B tier. He'll be consistent. You'll be able to get your 1 or 2 kills. You do die very quickly late game. You are playing with the aspect on Chalk in the mid lane. I'd say if you really enjoy that melee style, but you want to be mid, that's the god you play. Like, 100% play Chalk.
Maybe we'll give that a bash, actually.
Cupid, right here with the other hunters. Same boat. Cupid's all right in mid. Your clear would be pretty bad. Your presence would be mad. But with the crit meta, it's 10x that. So, it's a hunter.
Crit meta.
All the hunters so far falling under that kind of category. You shouldn't really be playing them in mid outside the fact that...
Wait, so our crit hunters, shall we say, are they basically your carry lane gods? Because I've seen all those in the carry lane. Are they carries?
That they're OP. Hades, I actually like Hades mid. When you play him on a solo, you play him full damage. You do need to have the right team comps to make this work. He will not work with every team comp. However, that doesn't mean the other team's going to play correctly around you either, and in ranked, you're going to be able to get away with it regardless of team comp most of the time, so B tier is where I place Hades. Your control is really good, your damage output is good, you're building full damage, you're getting that poly, you're playing on your procs, your mid lane is fairly safe, because you can clear, and if they go on you, you just dash away, alt, dash away. Like if you really don't want to down Hades, you shouldn't die.
Okay.
Akate's still the best mage in my opinion. Her damage output is ridiculous. Her ult is probably the best teamfight ult in Smite right now. Her lane presence is good. She's safe because of her ult. She can use it for mobility as long as you're
right. Okay.
time. Aegis buys you a lot of time to get away with getting your ult off. She's got ridiculous damage output. She's great around objectives. She's great in team fights that are extended because you keep that 2 in there. You get a bunch of bonus damage. She is very, very good. She just got some nerfs too. She's still great. You also have to play around her passive. You don't know her passive yet. Take a second to read it. Pay attention to it in the game. It does increase your damage output a lot when you're using it correctly.
Right. We're going to try her out. The next video that will be uploaded on this channel, we will check her out.
I'd put Izanami regardless of crit down here with Anubis. I just
really?
bad. Her ult is way better than Smite 1, but her kit is weak. She gets worse.
Again, that's another god that absolutely poos on me. But then again, like I've said this, and I've said this time and time again. I keep forgetting that I'm a new player to this game, and we're gonna get pooed on by better players. They just know how to play better than I can, or I don't really understand her kit yet. So I need to build up the knowledge base of every single god in this game to understand actually this god does this god does that, this god does this god is weak against this, etc, etc, etc. Until we have that knowledge base, we won't be able to dominate as much as we want to. We're not going to become a god until we're there. Thinking about that, we're right at the beginning of the road, right? We're just learning how to walk. Baby steps, baby steps. We're nowhere near running yet. Until we get there, we need to stop having these high expectations of ourselves. That's something I need to learn.
She needs an aspect that does help her a lot. All right, Jingwei. So I've placed all these gods based on the crit meta, right? And I've told you they're probably B tier. However, Jingwei, in reality right now, with crit, is S tier. You should be, if your hunter's not playing her, you should play her every game. She's the best god in the game. She's critting for around 2 to 2,500, 2,000 to 2,500 right now with full build, a 3K pot, and Fire Giant. So without those, you're hitting for like 1,500. The new crit item is OP. Crit is just scaling way too high right now. She would be S tier. I would play her over every mage right now.
But then again, we don't want to get comfortable playing crit items if they're just going to nerf it later on. It's a good thing at this stage for those who know the game to like abuse that, the crit meta. However, how long is that going to last? Only the devs know how long that's going to last. But do we really want to be focusing on the crit meta as a new mid laner? Does that make sense?
If you're just trying to win, once those nerfs go through on these items, they're going to go through. She falls back to C tier. Where I'd still rather have her, you know, than an Anubis or an Izanami. But should you be playing her? Probably not.
Okay.
Kukulkan, B tier. Kukulkan's a weird god. All right.
See, I wasn't a fan.
Scaling are not high enough. They're not scaling high enough because intel is so low. Example, Brawler's Beatstick, strength item has 60 strength. Divine Ruin, intel item has 60 intel. That doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't have the same numbers. They got to really buff intel items like crazy to make mages good.
Okay.
Regardless,
I think I agree with that.
It works because his clear is good. If you know how to use his dash, you can, whenever you're standing in your 3 and you pop your 2, it will dash. If you know how to do that, you shouldn't be getting ganked. He's a very hard god to kill for most gods outside of maybe Fenrir, right? So you're playing him, you might want to ban Fenrir, just an idea. The big thing with Kukulkan is mid to late game, you play around polyprocs. As I mentioned, you have to stand in your 3 to dash out. Your 3 is not a main form of damage. Your 2 shouldn't be spammed. You need to make sure you have that to either chase or to run away. Your 1 is your main source of damage late game. You 1 and you land a poly. Your 1 is very easy to land in Smite 1 compared to, Smite 2 compared to Smite 1. Polyprocs off of the 1 because they're so slow are also very easy to land. Anytime I play against good Kukulkan and I die, literally 1,500 plus damage is from polyprocs. Because you're just wanting autoing. It sounds boring, but it is what it is. You also have your ultimate. It's not hitting as hard as Smite 1. Still does good damage. So that's your second form of damage in a team fight. Then your 3. You really only use your 3 when you know you're safe or it's guaranteed damage you need to output. Otherwise, you're saving it for self peel and to get away, to dash. If you're doing that and you process after the late game team fights, you will be a very, very strong player on Vulcan. If you're playing like you were in Smite 1, where you're just spamming the 1 and the 3 on cooldown, you're probably going to die a lot. Medusa would be a higher place hunter regardless.
Yeah.
Because she does so well in mid lane with clear. She almost plays like a mage that does physical damage.
Okay.
You don't build her ability. You still build her auto attack. Regardless of the meta, you're still building her auto attack damage. With the crit meta, she would be another mid. I'd put up another hunter that's very good in mid.
Yeah, we've played her mid.
Aspect Neath is the best Neath by far. So if you don't know how Aspect works on Neath, whenever you blow up your weave, it gives you a passive stack of attack speed. It takes away the AoE damage from it, but it gives you a stack of attack speed that's stacked 6 times. At 6 stacks, you're getting crazy attack speed.
Wow.
Because your attack speed scales off strength. So you're building ability. Really, if you're playing as a mid laner outside of current meta, you probably go an ability version of Neath with like a Kin. In the current meta, I just go the regular hunter build, the crit hunter build. So it's Dagger of Frenzy, it's crit item, Xe, it's Pen, Titan's Wind, it's more crit, Hydras. That's what I've been running. It stomps. I think it's one of the biggest sleeper mid gods right now. Your lane clear is ridiculous. Your jungle clear is insane. You basically run up in one shot like a buff, like a red buff or a yellow buff. It's actually nuts for
really
one-sheet pressure or just clearing your own camps. I think Neath is a sleeper pick. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'll put her in B for now. With crit meta, I'd put her in A or S very easily right now. So look to play her.
I recently played Neath in the mid lane. Funny enough, I was playing against her as well, and the other person built her attack speed crit, I think, and it was quite balanced at times. However, if I missed my shots, I was punished because obviously she just attack speed crits me all the time, so I just insta died almost. But she was quite fun to play, to be fair.
Nuwa. I think Nuwa is very overrated. I think the only thing Nuwa is good for is if basically following up of your team getting massive pressure. You don't create pressure. You don't really do much on Nuwa. Your ult doesn't even hit hard in Smite 2 at all. I will say the one thing she's good at is if you aren't a comfortable player in the mid lane, you get placed in mid, you play her because you just throw out your 1 over and over again. It'll clear the wave. You sit under your tower. You literally play to not die, to ult, and then you wait for grouping for late game team fights. She's one of the only gods in the game that can do that right now.
Okay.
So that's why she's valuable. I think she's very overrated by higher level players when they try to force her over and over and over again. Poseidon, I think he needs more buffs. They just reverted a lot of his nerfs. I don't think it's enough. I think he's fine to play. I think he's really risky without mobility.
We haven't tried Poseidon yet.
Against a lot of these matchups, he's just going to die over and over again.
But is he a hunter?
Position like a madman, like a beast to get away with him because of the way it works. He does have the movement from his 2, which is nice, but he's also only got his Kraken, which is going to be avoided 90% of the time, and his damage output is nowhere near some of these other gods. However,
this Kraken's like the fizz ult in League of Legends, isn't it? It's kind of funny that they all have similarities to League of Legends characters, like their ults or their abilities are very similar to certain champion abilities in League. So that's why it feels quite familiar when I'm playing this game. It's just trying to figure out what gods do different abilities, and there again, there's something that we need to learn, right? Otherwise, we're not going to be a god one day. We want to be a god one day. I hope we get there. We'll get there. I reckon we will get there. So bear with me. Keep watching. Stick with me on my journey. It will be fine. We'll get there.
It's not a bad thing. It's just a really hard to play thing. Raw mid. I think I'd run raw mid, no aspect now after the changes. I'd go full damage, and I'd play just like raw in Smite 1. Probably put him in B tier, though.
We played Ra. I really like playing Ra. I love his clear, fun to play. Really easy to play as a new player. And he is a bit of a comfort pick for me if I was playing mid, and I do enjoy playing Ra.
Is solid. You're still kind of unsafe, but you have a CC immunity, which is big. You hit pretty hard. Like, you're not hitting Smite 1 hard. You're not one-shotting with your ult, but you're getting up there with damage with a full damage Raw mid, no aspect.
Okay.
Soul. I wouldn't play Soul outside of the current meta. So right now, C tier. With crit build, though, you're up in ARS tier.
Okay.
Another hunter. Just play it. Right? Just play it. The Morrigan, very difficult god to play. Lots of weird interactions with the ultimate. If you're consistent with her, you put in the time, she's great. She's pretty much unkillable with the aspect. If you run no aspect, that's also viable because you can go for the one shot into the swap into a tank. Difficult god to play. not an insane team fight unless you're swapping correctly. And I really feel like the level she needs to play her correctly is just much higher than most people play at. Like, even in Masters, there's a lot of people that can't play Morgan correctly. Vulcan. I think Vulcan is probably the second best mage right now. I'd say
Really?
Dante, Vulcan, Agni in that order.
I mean, that makes sense, right? That's probably why you guys recommended him in the comments section. I think I can see that based on his kit and his versatility. A tier fit seems pretty fair to me. But I mean, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think.
Order. I have 3 builds on Smite Source. I have a damage build, which is ridiculously good. Late game, without a 3k pot, your 3 is hitting for like 800, your 1's hitting for like 700, your ultimate can hit for like 15, 1600 without Fire Giant or 3k pot. Your turrets in Smite 2 feel like trash. You use the Thumper and the 2 for a lot of lane clear and like farming while you rotate and stuff. But in team fights, they don't do a lot. They do not get ability or item procs like they do and started to.
I feel like he's right there. When I've played Vulcan and we're team fighting, the turrets don't seem to do anything. Like, so maybe when we play him again, maybe we need to look at a different mod basically. Turrets don't seem to do it. Like you said, the Thumper sounds like a better option for like wave clear, but like that's just area of effect damage, right? Every like couple seconds. Maybe that's just more beneficial in team fights and games. We'll have to try it out. It's about experimenting, right? What works, what doesn't.
To do in Smite 1. So like Soul Reaver won't proc. Soul Gem won't proc. Gem of ISO won't proc. Like, things will not proc on turrets anymore. So they're really, to me, only early game things that maybe for like killing an objective, right? They help kill an objective, which is dope. So the mods are listed on all of the builds. I really prioritize and mainly play around the actual Vulcan kit rather than the turrets doing the damage for you. They are good and annoying.
Okay.
It's not great. They're not the key parts of your kit anymore. There's a hybrid build up on Smite Source as well because you.
Wrong, aren't I? Okay.
You can play around one of his mods. They're the new, the plus ones for Vulcan that makes him tankier when he's near his Thumper. So you can actually run around with like 200 prots on Vulcan very easily. And you're not the tankiest god in the game, but a jungler going on you that doesn't have full pen is not going to kill you. You're
okay.
going to out-trade them heavily. It's a really fun build. It's a little more expensive. You need to make sure you're prioritizing farming in the mid to late game because those are your 2 of your last items that you're grabbing. It's a fun build. And then I also have a support build over for Vulcan, but we're talking about mid.
We should try that. We'll try that out. We'll try that out.
Zeus would be another one I'd put in A tier. His only downside is how easy he is to kill. His damage.
Yeah, I think Zeus is up there. Zeus seems, again, is a god that gets played a lot. I've played him once in the mid lane. Strong. His like burst damage is pretty insane. However, like Weekend just said there, he seems to be really easy to kill. Once they jump on you, I feel like you haven't got much escape. You haven't got much movement to get away. I feel like we're just stuck basically.
Damage output, he can out-trade people. Like, he's gonna 1v1 all
Yeah.
day. But once you start talking about supports, Sobek's coming in and plucking you, Kepri's plucking you, Geb's blink ulting you, it's really hard to play Vulcan against that. You can, because his damage output is good. You have to very much focus.
He meant Zeus there.
Positioning is huge. But this is how my tier list is. I know Akate got some nerfs. Like I said, I don't think they're that big.
Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Weekend's tier list is right? Wrong? That would be really interested to know if you think his tier list is your tier list. Does it match your one? Please let me know in the comments box below.
If they end up being that big, then I probably wouldn't put anyone in S tier. I'd probably move her down to A. There would be no S tier mid laners, which is really unfortunate, but it's due to the low amount of intellect on items and or the low scaling. Like, some scaling isn't even low, but with the intellect being so low, they either up the scaling or they up the intellect on items. The problem with upping the intellect on items, you start to worry about hybrid builds and solo laners building it and being too strong. So I think is one reason they were nerfed in the first place. But yeah, here is our mid lane tier list. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. If you're wondering, like, where are the assassins, where are the warriors, you shouldn't be playing them in mid. You can force anything in Smite 2 in any role and, like, possibly get a win. But that does not mean if you're trying to win every game, you should go them. These are the gods that are good. You should play in the mid lane.
Yeah.
You should make them part of your rotations. And as you know, the game changes, I will update this, and that you'll have to pick up new gods. Essentially, Smite Source does have a build for every single god, at least one, multiple. Usually, there's multiple builds for gods. If I was reading something weird, if something doesn't make sense to you, comments below. Builds smitesource.com. I will do a top 5 video on the top 5 mid gods that you should be playing right now and break them down, how you play them, how you position, how you build them. But that information is out there already. It'll just be a concentrated video. Be looking for that. Hopefully you guys like the video. Hopefully this is still valuable for you guys. It's not a hard thing for me to do.
There we go, guys. What do you think of Weekend's tier list? Do you recommend that we should follow his tier list? Are they gods that we should be focusing on or not? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down in the comments section below. But that does it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please recommend any other videos that I should react to. I really enjoy reacting to these. They're full of knowledge and information that is really key on our journey. But that does it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate all the support. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.